I'm going to be teaching you how to draw if you have no clue what you're doing, you've never done it before. I've taken the bare essentials, I've put them all in here and left everything else out, all right? So what you need to get started is you need paper. I'm using recycled printing paper. You can do the same, number 2 pencil. I got like a whole bunch of them here just, so I don't have to sharpen during the video to save time for you. All right, so highly recommend get something cheap. Don't buy a big sketchbook with like really expensive, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to want to draw something perfect and it's just not going to work out, especially if you're new to drawing, okay? So buy something cheap. If you do buy a sketchbook, throw in the dirt, step on it a few times, rough it up, make it look bad. That way, you're not afraid to screw up in it because you're going to do some bad drawings. All right, we all do bad drawings, okay? So after we get that out of the way, how are you going to succeed in this class? The best thing you can do is draw along with me. Don't just binge watch it like Netflix, okay? If you binge watch it and you're just watching me draw and you're eating popcorn, you're not going to learn how to draw. I need you drawing with me. If I'm drawing too fast, pause the video, catch up, start it again, and proceed, okay? It is very important that you draw along with me, and any exercises that I give, it would benefit you to do those exercises until you move on to the next video, all right? Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to know is ghosting. Well, what is ghosting? All right, so ghosting is a technique that artists use where you're drawing but you're not actually putting the pencil on the paper. It's like air drawing. And it's kind of just a method to test out the line. It kind of stops mistakes, but it helps you try things out. So let's draw 2 dots here. All we got to do is draw a line, right? So that's simple enough, right? We can just draw a line between those 2 dots. Now you don't want to go boom. Most people aren't going to connect that, okay? I've had a little bit of practice, I did okay. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go like super slow, because what happens is you get these little ugly scribbly lines. So you want to go quickly, but not so quick that you lose control, so you got to have a happy medium. All right. So this is what you do. You get your 2 points and you ghost, and so you're just drawing a line but without putting the pencil on the paper. What you're doing is you're training your arms muscle memory in your mind, saying, hey, this is the direction I want the pencil to go. All right, this is what I want my line to look like. And you use the momentum of this to draw your line. Okay, see, I even missed there, but that's okay. Mistakes are going to happen. So that's what you want to do. You want to do test rounds, and then when you're comfortable, you draw your line. The other thing you want to do is when you're drawing, you don't want to follow the pencil with your eyes, okay? It's like throwing a ball. If you're going to throw the ball at something, you want to look at your target. Okay, so if you take your eyes off the target, you're going to miss wherever you're throwing the ball. It's the same thing with the pencil. So you want to look where you want to end your line, and you want to focus on that. Only look back at the beginning when you're going to move your pencil back, but then immediately look over here. So I'm paying attention to where I want the line to go, and then I draw it. All right, so let's practice this. Let's do some squares. Squares are a little bit more interesting than lines. So we're going to draw squares in random locations. The best way to make it look like a square is you want to have a 90-degree angle in the corners, right? Now, it doesn't have to be a perfect square. It can be like a rectangle. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But what you want to do is you draw your line, then you draw a parallel line across it. This is the easiest way to guarantee that you're going to get that 90-degree angle, okay? So then you draw your other side, and then you just go across it. Now, I like to draw like these tiny little boxes just to kind of double check if I'm drawing at a 90-degree angle. And you'll notice that I'm not getting these 100% perfect. It's fine. I feel like the biggest thing you have to get over is it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. So that's what you want to do. You want to fill up this page, drawing different sizes of squares. That's your first assignment. Pretty simple. Using the ghosting method that I talked about. You want to test it out, fill it out. When you're comfortable with it, then you draw your line. Okay. Now you can do this way to draw your square. It's just a lot harder to guarantee a 90-degree angle. Because if you notice, I made it to a Q and then I recorrected. All right. So just I would fill up 1 or 2 pages of squares. All right. So the next thing you want to do is let's work on circles. A lot of people are afraid to draw circles. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. What you want to do is you want to find something that's circular, that is already a perfect circle. I got a water bottle here, something that will fit on your paper, all right? So the first thing you do is you trace it. Okay. So now I got my perfect circle. And what I would do is now you're just kind of tracing this perfect circle. You put a sheet over it. You got your circle. It's kind of like a guideline. Now, here's the second technique you need. You need soft touch. Well, what is soft touch? Soft touch is a fancy way of saying draw very lightly. Okay, that's really all it is. When you're drawing, you want to barely be able to see the line at all. I'm drawing a little bit darker so you can see it on the camera, okay? But when you're drawing by yourself, you want to barely be able to see it. And if someone is standing like behind you, they probably can't see it at all. Like you want to draw that lightly, okay? No pressure at all. All right, so that's what soft touch is. It's drawing lightly. And what you want to do is you want to do your ghosting. So I'm not drawing. I'm following the path of this circle. Kind of test it out. And then when I put my marks down, I'm drawing really lightly. And it doesn't matter if you don't follow the correct path. You just want to get the motion in. Remember, you're training your arm to let it know, hey, this is what a perfect circle feels like. And you just gradually get darker as you feel more confident about it. Okay, so I got me a circle. Let's move this. Okay. Move this out. Same thing. So you just want to draw several of these. Kind of figure out what a perfect circle looks like. Okay. And same thing with the squares. You want to fill up pages. If you got a big circle like I do, you might want to do like 5 pages, depending on how big your circle is. So fill up pages with that. Next is ovals. Now we don't need a guide for ovals. It's the same process, but it's more ovally. It's not like a perfect circle, so you might actually like this more. So fill up the page full of circles rotating in different directions. Change the size, just vary it as much as you can. Just make ovals, okay? Your ovals probably won't look as good as mine. They're gonna look like potatoes, but that's okay. All right. The important thing that we are learning here is that mistakes are okay and they don't really matter. If you're drawing really lightly, you can always cover up your mistake anyways, so it really doesn't matter. All right. So there's ovals. So we've done squares, ovals, circles. I would also recommend, doing some circles without the guideline. See how you can do it. All right, fill everything up. It doesn't matter which direction you go. You can go clockwork or counterclockwise, whichever feels most comfortable to you. That's the way you want to do it. Okay. Next, we want to practice curved lines, so we go back to our dot system. Add a third dot. And now you want to just kind of slowly cross the line in. Maybe practice your ghosting, right? Ease into it. Doesn't matter if you don't hit this perfectly. You just want to get some curves going on. Okay, because you're going to be drawing a lot of curves, especially if you draw people. If you draw people, you want to be able to draw curves, you want to be able to draw circles. All right, so fill up the page, vary the size, change it up as best you can. Draw lightly. Once you get comfortable with this, I want you to start drawing softly at the beginning, get darker when you're here, and then soft again. So what this looks like is soft, dark, soft. And you can even make this darker if you need to. That's just kind of like helps the curve look more believable. All right, so that in a nutshell is all you need to know to get started.